Boy, it sure is enjoyable looking at cool dinosaurs in a museum. Amazing! Fascinating! What the heck is that?
Hello YouTube, welcome back to Darth Nico Games. Now, you're probably wondering what the heck that thing was, but you're also probably wondering why the heck I disappeared. Well, I was pretty burnt out from banking videos all the time, so I just wanted to take a break and enjoy my summer vacation for a while. But then, a month later, I decided it's probably about time to get back into it. So, here I am. I decided to kick off my return with a Mario Kart Wii custom track review. I did a couple of them back when I was still doing this. What's up YouTube? It's Darth Nico coming at you with a brand new series. Those were dark times. Anyway, this was a series that was really fun to make for me, and hopefully it'll be as fun for me now. Anyway, you're probably tired of hearing me talk, so let's get into it. So, the track we'll be covering today is GCN Dino Dino Jungle by Mr. Buttchin's X11T7. Yes, that is his actual username, shockingly. But before we get into the fun part of the video, we have to cover the rules first, because everybody loves rules. Seriously though, it's been over a year since I did one of these, so I imagine we need a refresher. Okay, so the quick and dirty is that there are two different criteria on which I rate a course. The first is drivability. Basically, how fun a course is to drive on. If it has a bunch of satisfying jumps and turns like DK Summit, then it'll get a high score. But if it has unsatisfying bumps and weird turns similar to SNES Vanilla Like 1, then it gets a low score. Everything is rated between 50 to 100. The second measure that I use to rate a course is balance, basically how fair a course is. If the course is entirely item dependent like SNES Mario Circuit 1, it gets a 50. But if it favors frontrunners while still giving the back a decent chance to catch up, it gets 100. I then multiply the drivability score by 0.4 and the balance score by 0.6. This gives balance a slightly higher influence on the final score, since it doesn't matter how fun a course is to drive if there's no skill involved, but even a course like the hardest course harder than Mushroom Peaks can be somewhat fun if skill is a heavy factor. Now, skill is not a heavy factor in that course, but I digress. The two scores are then added together, and that gives us the final score. Now, all of this is totally subjective, but I tried to make it as accurate and fair as I could. If I say anything that you disagree with, please let me know in the comments. I'm always open to constructive criticism, so if you feel like the formula could be improved in any way, please let me know. Now, I bet you're probably ready to actually see the track, but I do have one more thing to say before we proceed. This track is over 8 years old, so as much fun as I make of it in this video, this track was actually pretty groundbreaking when it was released. So, even though I'll be joking about it, just keep in mind that while it has not aged well, it was rather brilliant in its time. Now, finally, I present to you GCN Dino Dino Jungle by Mr. Buttchin's X11T7. As we begin the race, we observe that we are in a heavily forested area. We notice large logs nearby as we take the first of two hairpin turns in this course. As we round the bend, we get our first glimpse of the evasive 16-toed bowling pin dinosaurs that occupy this course. We blaze past them to enter a glorious crystal cave. Once we exit the cave, we are given 3 paths to take over this winding bridge. I elect to take the path that is by far the fastest, as I will demonstrate later. Upon leaving the bridge, we enter a much more expansive crystal cave, this time with lava pillars in our path. We carefully avoid both lava and a painful fall as we come out into the daylight again. We then mosey over to the dinosaur viewing station, but we have no time to stop and observe them. Instead, we opt to take the final hairpin turn that leads to a rather bumpy and lava-filled finish. So, a pretty simple layout. Some of the turns are actually pretty surprisingly difficult to do correctly, especially this turn inside the first cave. You need to do a delayed drift here to make sure you get the drift off in time. TWD98 has a great tutorial for how to do delayed drifts, so if you don't know how to do one, I would recommend watching his video. Basically, the short and simple of how you do one is, rather than turning immediately after you press drift, you hop, then start to turn right before you land from the hop. This allows you to make tighter turns and to charge your mini turbos faster. Another strategy for this section is to not go for a mini turbo at all, instead do a short drift into a wheelie like this. These two strategies are about equally fast, and I usually do the short drift since I find it a bit easier, but that's of course up to you. You might be wondering how the three different bridge routes compare, so I'll do a side-by-side comparison here. As you can see, the path with the boost panels is by far the fastest, with the other paths 1 and 3 seconds slower. Not surprisingly, the path that is the farthest on the outside takes the longest. None of these paths are particularly risky, so you should always be taking the fastest one. Another difficult turn, or should I say set of turns, is this one here in the longer cave section. There really isn't an easy way to do this one fast, just dodge the lava and hope for slip drifts like I did here. One more thing before I show you the shortcuts in this course. Right here at the very end, you want to make sure to drift between the bumps in the road so you don't pop up way in the air like I did here. Enough basic route planning though, let's do a few shortcuts. First up, we have the most obvious one. I don't know if you noticed it, but it's this ramp right here. You simply use a shroom, land on the other side, and save 3 seconds. I'm not joking. It saves a full 3 seconds, and it's super easy. It's actually easier to not fall off here than on the main road. The shortcut is really insanely overpowered. The next cut is a shroomless cut, and let me tell you, I love shroomless cuts. They're all usually very skill based, and they're always satisfying to pull off. This one is no exception, having a moderate level of difficulty and being ultra satisfying to do. Most shroomless cuts are either easier or faster to do with a shroom, but using a shroom on this one actually slows you down and it doesn't make it any easier. But anyway, here it is. You can actually do this without charging the mini turbo, which is what a lot of people like to do, but I don't know, I find that a bit harder. This cut actually saves more than 3 seconds, but is less overpowered since it's not item reliant. If you were wondering what it looks like to do it with a shroom, here you go. So, those were the two most obvious shortcuts, but I have one more left to show you. Don't you just love intangible walls? Now, this actually doesn't save any time since the Flame Runner's acceleration stats are so low. So why did I decide to show this to you if it doesn't save any time? Well, this is actually an ultra shortcut. If you don't know what an ultra shortcut is, then go watch Summoning Salt's History of the Ultra Shortcut. It's an awesome video and it's entertaining even to people who have never played Mario Kart. So go watch it. Like, now. You honestly don't even have to come back to this video, just go and watch his video, because it's really good. And for those of you who stayed behind and don't have 32 minutes on you, fine, I will give you a quick explanation. Each course has a number of key checkpoints to make sure you get through the course before it counts a lap. But, if you skip the first one somehow, then go on to hit the last one and the finish line, it will in fact count the lap. And that's actually exactly what we did here. The first checkpoint is somewhere in this area, and we managed to avoid it, and then go on to hit the last checkpoint in the finish line. But again, why did I decide to show this to you if it doesn't save any time? Because you can do this. skipping the first checkpoint means that the game simply doesn't check if you hit any of the other checkpoints except for the last one in the finish line. Fortunately for us, the last checkpoint is basically right on top of the finish line, so it allows us to do this, which is where my PB is at right now. Now, I did some research, and I'm not the first to find this glitch. There's a really good time using a different strategy by Paul648 that was uploaded almost 7 years ago. By the way, 648 was also the number of views the video had when I watched it. Coincidence? Decide for yourself. Another video I found was a really cool task by at.by. There are actually a lot of other videos of this track, which is sometimes rare for custom tracks, but it's not really that surprising when you think about it. This track was featured in 3 distributions, which are collections of custom tracks, and 2 of those were early versions of MKW Hack Pack and Weem's Mario Kart Fun, both very popular compilations. So, therefore, it shouldn't have been as shocking as it was when I found quite a few videos of this track. Thus, there are actually a few different shortcuts and strategies that other people have come up with that I decided to not cover in this video. If you're interested in those, a quick search on YouTube should pull up plenty of results. Anyway, you came for a review, not a tutorial. Overall, this track isn't too bad. The graphics have really aged horribly, but the glitchy jumps make it surprisingly enjoyable to race on. The balance isn't very good though, as the overpowered shroom-only shortcuts make it unfair for frontrunners. I'm going to give it a 75 in drivability and a 60 in balance, giving it a 66 overall. This is the highest score I've ever given a course in this series, which probably speaks more to the courses that I like to review than to myself. In any case, this course is surprisingly fun to race on when you just want to mess around, but it definitely isn't one to race competitively on. So, that was my review. What did you think? Would you like to see more types of videos like this, or would you like to see different kinds of videos? Please let me know, I could really use the input. In any case, thanks for watching, and have a great day.